your tube amp is lying to you. Have you ever plugged your guitar amp into one of the inputs on your audio interface, started strumming around, and thought, sounds like dog shit? Well, it's not necessarily your fault. I've since de-shelled my Marshall Origin 20 since I was doing modifications anyways, and I'm specifically referring to this jack right here. Direct interface out. This is supposed to be a jack that you can plug into an audio interface or sound card, mixing desk, whatever, and it's a direct interjection of the guitar amp's signal, so that way you can run it straight to house, or I guess that's what it was supposed to be intended for. The problem is, it's not direct. If you look inside the instruction manual for this amp and many others, I think PV themselves on that 6505MH, they say that they are actually emulated outputs, or microphone emulated, I think. It's a hot mess. And all it is they're just putting filters and very basic circuitry in order to make these amps make it sound better. So you plug it into, honestly, I don't know. It was probably a design a long time ago, back when we didn't have really nice, accurate cabinet emulation on our PCs nowadays. But now that we have that access, these emulated outs are kind of useless. So let's try and get these removed. Let's see what we can do about that. As always though, due diligence, tube amps, they're dangerous. Don't poke around in them if you're not sure what you're doing. It's not hard to figure out what you're doing, but just be safe, don't do it. The reason why I'm doing this Marshall here, there's actually built-in load resistor. While this idiot does all the work for us, let's talk about what we're actually doing here. It looks like coming off of the output transformer, signal passes through C201 and goes through a rather large and complicated active buffer stage with that TL072 chip, and it makes its way towards that DI out jack, and that's all part of the emulation that makes up this emulated out, and that's what colors the tone and makes it honestly not particularly usable. Here's the least intrusive plan that I could possibly come up with as far as removing that whole emulated section out of the circuit entirely. All we need to do really is just remove R207 and C209. And what that's going to do is that's going to completely isolate and pull that whole section out of the circuit. It's pretty straightforward from there. If we replace C201 with a 22K resistor and run a jumper between that and the pad of R218, that's going to bring signal out of that 22K resistor towards the DI out jack, but that also is going to set up 1/2 of our voltage divider. That voltage divider is going to be important, so that way we don't blow the input transformer on any audio interface we plug this thing into. From there, we need to run a 1K ohm resistor to ground, and we can do that just by replacing R217, and that's going to set up the other half of the voltage divider, and that pair of resistors essentially steps down all incoming voltage down to about 5% of its input amount, which is honestly pretty spot on for where it needs to be. And then from there, we just need to run that signal out to the jack, and we can do that just by running a jumper between the two pads on R218. If you're concerned about any DC blocking or coupling gaps or anything in the circuit, honestly speaking, you should probably be more concerned if there's DC voltage leaving your output transformer. This should be fine. It should work fine. It's probably not the most optimal way of accomplishing this, but it's cheap, it's straightforward, it sounds great, I don't see any issues with it. This isn't necessarily a Marshall Origin modding guide or anything. This should apply to any analog amp, be it solid state, tube amp, anything like that. If it's got an output transformer, all you do is just set up a voltage divider off of it, so that way you can drop down some of that signal coming in, and it should just plug in and work just fine. It's just in the case of some solid state amps and tube amps, you need to make sure you've got some sort of load on that output jack of some sort, so that way you don't blow up anything or start cooking any components.